On a stormy night over Guam, one crew faced a decision that would cost 254 lives.
Good evening. Tonight we examine the harrowing final moments of Korean Air Flight 801 over Guam.
Rumors. We take a closer look at Flight 801 and the series of decisions that sealed its fate. Pilots attempted a visual approach to... Flight 801 was descending toward Guam on a stormy August night. Inside the cockpit, pilots searched for the runway, unaware of the right. The crew relied entirely on cockpit instruments. But one critical system was not working as expected. Weather conditions that night were rapidly deteriorating.
Heavy rain and cloud cover made visual landing extremely difficult.
Investigators later identified multiple procedural errors. The aircraft descended below safe altitude long before reaching the runway. Warnings went unchallenged. Fatigue may have played a critical role. Long duty hours reduced the crew's situational awareness. Fatigue can be deadly in aviation.
The final seconds unfolded rapidly. Ground proximity warnings sounded inside the cockpit. There was little time to react. The crew attempted a last-second recovery. The go-around command came too late. Impact was unavoidable.
The crash claimed over 200 lives. It became one of the deadliest aviation accidents in the region, a tragedy that reshaped aviation safety.
As the flight continued, fatigue began to affect decision-making. Long duty hours subtly impaired situational awareness.
The crew prepared for an instrument approach, but a critical navigation aid was out of service. This changed everything. Weather conditions near Guam continued to worsen. Heavy rain reduced visibility and increased cockpit workload. Conditions were far from ideal.
The glide slope system was not operational. Pilots had to rely solely on step-down altitude procedures. Precision was critical.
Distance readings were misinterpreted. The aircraft was farther from the runway than the crew believed. A fatal misunderstanding.
The descent began too early. Safe altitude margins were unknowingly violated. Danger was imminent.
Automated warnings began sounding. The ground was rapidly approaching. Seconds remained.
Crew members urged a missed approach. But authority and hesitation delayed action. Critical seconds were lost.
The go-around was initiated too late. The aircraft could not climb in time. Impact was inevitable. The aircraft struck terrain short of the runway. Most on board lost their lives instantly. A night aviation will never forget.
Emergency services raced toward the crash site. Responders faced darkness, rain, and difficult terrain. Time was critical.
Survivors were pulled from the wreckage. Only a small number survived the initial impact. Survival came down to seconds. Investigators began searching for answers.
Every piece of wreckage was documented. The investigation had begun.
Cockpit voice recordings were recovered. The recordings revealed confusion in the final moments. Critical warnings were heard. Flight data recorders provided key insights. They confirmed a controlled flight into terrain. The aircraft was fully functional.
Human factors emerged as a central issue. Hierarchy prevented timely intervention. Silence proved deadly.
Safety systems that could have helped were disabled. Minimum safe altitude warnings never reached controllers. Another missed chance. Regulatory oversight came under scrutiny. Known safety risks were left unaddressed. Oversight failures mattered. The final report delivered sobering conclusions. The crash was deemed entirely preventable. Lessons were clear. Aviation safety would change after this tragedy. The legacy of Flight 801 reshaped how crews are trained worldwide. Lives lost led to lives saved. Attention turned to pilot training standards. Investigators found gaps in approach procedure training. Training quality mattered. Cultural factors played a significant role. Strict hierarchy discouraged open communication. Culture shaped outcomes.
Crew resource management came under review. Junior crew members hesitated to challenge authority. Assertiveness was lacking. Fatigue management policies were examined. Excessive duty hours increased risk. Limits were necessary.
Safety recommendations followed the report. Procedures were rewritten to prevent recurrence. Change was mandated. Air traffic control procedures were also reviewed. Controllers had limited awareness of the danger. Systems failed to connect. Airlines worldwide studied the findings. The lessons reached far beyond Guam. a global impact. Modern cockpits reflect those hard lessons. Technology now supports better decision-making. Safety has advanced.
Families were left with unanswered grief. For many, closure never fully came. Their loss is remembered.
A tragedy that changed aviation forever. The lessons of Flight 801 continue to save lives. Safety is written in memory.
Airline leadership faced intense scrutiny. Organizational accountability became unavoidable. Responsibility extended beyond the cockpit. Non-precision approaches received renewed focus. Pilots were trained to strictly follow altitude gates. Discipline prevents disaster.
Training programs underwent reform. Standardized approach briefings became mandatory. Consistency saves lives.
Terrain awareness systems were improved. Earlier warnings now provide crucial reaction time. Technology learned from tragedy. Air traffic alerting systems were restored. Controllers regained a critical layer of protection. Redundancy matters. Crew communication training was expanded. Speaking up became an operational requirement. Voices save lives. Simulator scenarios were updated worldwide. Crews now practice high-risk approaches repeatedly.
Approach briefings became more detailed. Threats were openly discussed before descent. Planning became protection.
Threat and error management became standard. Errors are now anticipated, not discovered too late. Risk is managed, not ignored.
From tragedy came enduring safety improvements. Aviation safety today is written in the lessons of the past. Remembering saves lives.
Accident data drove international cooperation. Safety improvements crossed national boundaries. A global effort emerged.
Airlines began sharing safety data globally. Shared information reduced hidden risks. Transparency saves lives.
Runway approach lighting was enhanced. Visual cues were strengthened for poor weather landings. Visibility was improved.
Airport terrain charts were redesigned. High ground near airports became unmistakable. Terrain awareness improved. Navigation aids received clearer status alerts. Pilots now receive unmistakable system status cues. Ambiguity was reduced. Approach minimums were emphasized in training. Descending below limits without visuals is now strictly prohibited. Rules became firm. Crew authority gradients were flattened. Every crew member is empowered to act. Hierarchy no longer silences safety. Incident reporting became non-punitive. Pilots can now report hazards without fear. Honesty strengthens safety. Each improvement traces back to lives lost. Their legacy is written into every safety rule. They are not forgotten. Aviation safety evolves through hard lessons. The past protects the future. Safety is the final legacy. Airlines re-examined night approach policies. Visual illusions were recognized as a serious risk. Darkness deceives. Terrain proximity training was expanded. Pilots now rehearse terrain escape maneuvers. Reaction saves altitude. Approach stabilization criteria were tightened. Unstable approaches must now be abandoned early. Go-arounds are encouraged. Fatigue science entered formal training. Rest is now treated as a safety system. Fatigue is measurable. Decision-making models were standardized. Clear choices reduce hesitation under stress. Clarity prevents delay.
Missed approaches were destigmatized. Abandoning a landing is now viewed as success. Go-arounds save lives.
Weather deviation authority was clarified. Pilots can now prioritize safety over schedule. Delay is acceptable. Data-driven safety audits became routine. Patterns are now caught before accidents occur. Prevention replaced reaction.
Every regulation has a human cost behind it. Safety rules are written in memory. Loss shaped progress.
Airports with surrounding terrain were reassessed. Environmental risk became part of routine planning. Context matters. The legacy of Flight 801 endure.
A tragedy transformed into a permanent lesson. Safety is never optional.
Airports with surrounding terrain were reassessed. Environmental risk became part of routine planning. Context matters. Altitude awareness training was strengthened. Crews now cross-check altitude sources continuously. One number is never enough.
Checklist discipline became non-negotiable. Procedures replaced assumptions. Follow the list.
Approach Approach briefings were audited for quality. Threats must now be named, not assumed. Awareness begins early. Cockpit workload distribution was redesigned. One pilot flies, the other guards the big picture. Balance prevents overload. Approach automation modes were clarified. Pilots must always know what the aircraft is doing. Mode awareness is critical. Descent profiles were standardized globally. Predictable paths reduced last-minute decisions. Stability is safety. The story now turns toward reflection and remembrance. The story now turns toward reflection and remembrance. From analysis, we move to remembrance. The final chapter begins.
We remember those who never made it home. 254 lives were lost that night. They are remembered.
Families were left with unanswered questions. Their grief became part of aviation history. Loss echoes across time. Every safety rule has a story behind it. Rules are written in memory, not ink. Safety has a history. Flight 801 is now part of aviation training worldwide. Its lessons are taught to every new generation of pilots. Knowledge endure. Behind every statistic was a person. Families, dreams, and futures ended in moments. They mattered.
Aviation remembers by improving. Every lesson learned is a form of respect. Learning honors memory.
Flight 801 changed how the world flies. Its legacy reaches far beyond Guam, a global impact.
We pause to remember. In memory of those lost aboard Flight 801.
We remember.
Safety is built on remembrance. Every safe landing carries these lessons forward. Safety continues. This has been the story of Korean Air Flight 801. Remembering the past helps protect the future. Thank you for watching. Legends. After every accident, aviation asks one question: how do we prevent the next? Investigation.
Modern cockpits now include multiple safety layers. Redundancy turns single mistakes into recoverable events. Layers matter.
Warning systems now speak earlier and louder. Earlier warnings by precious seconds. Simulators now recreate real-world accidents. Pilots now experience history to avoid repeating it. Practice changes outcomes.
Human limitations are now designed around. Design now supports human performance. Humans are central.
Automation now watches for silent failure. Technology now anticipates risk. The future watches closely. Data now connects airlines worldwide.
Shared insight prevents isolated mistakes. Together is safer.
Speaking up is now a safety requirement.
Authority never overrides safety. Voices matter.
Aviation safety is written one lesson at a time. Each lesson moves the industry forward. Progress continues.
The safest flights are built on remembered mistakes. Memory is aviation's strongest safety system. End of program.
Safety culture is measured by how errors are handled. Learning organizations treat mistakes as data. Culture determines outcomes. Regulators now audit human factors rigorously. Compliance now includes psychology and behavior. People matter. Modern avionics reduce reliance on memory alone. Automation now supports memory and judgment. Tools assist thinking. Risk is now quantified, not guessed. Numbers help prioritize attention. Recurrent training now emphasizes surprise scenarios. Prepared crews adapt faster. Training builds resilience. Operational limits are now clearly defined. Clear limits prevent creeping risk. Boundaries protect.
Maintenance reporting is now fully integrated. Technical and human data now meet. Integration improves insight.
Ambiguous language is no longer acceptable. Clear language prevents misinterpretation. Words guide action. Institutional memory must be preserved. Forgotten lessons resurface as accidents. Memory protects. Vigilance is the price of safety. Safety is never finished. The watch continues.
Safety systems must evolve faster than risk. Static rules fail in dynamic environments. Adaptation is protection.
Compliance is meaningless without understanding. Rules work only when fully understood. Knowledge gives rules meaning. Safety responsibility never rests with one individual. Systems fail long before people do. Accountability is shared.
Safety data must remain accessible across generations. Memory must outlast personnel. Lessons must survive time. Aviation shares lessons beyond its own industry. Hard-earned knowledge travels far. Safety lessons are universal. Leadership behavior defines safety reality. Tone at the top shapes outcomes below.
Leadership matters.
Each generation inherits both safety and responsibility. Memory is a responsibility passed forward. The chain must remain unbroken.
This concludes our examination of Flight 801.
The past remains our greatest teacher.
Safety is not an achievement, but a practice. It must be renewed every day. Safety is ongoing. Future risks emerge as technology evolves. Progress creates new responsibilities. Vigilance must evolve.